Let's get the read on all this from Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. She is from the beautiful state of Hawaii, sits on a very crucial committee, the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, very good to see you.
Sorry. Hello. Good morning, honorable Congressman.
Your take on the Saudis' take on what happened. Do you believe it?
Which one? There are so many different versions that have come from the Saudis on what happened. And I think really as we look through this, we've really got to challenge the bigger question here that is being posed to the president, to his administration, and leaders in Congress, which is Saudi Arabia is in fact not our ally. The evidence is overwhelming, showing that not only are their interests not aligned with our national security interests, their interests actually undermine our national security interests. We can go down the list. You know, Saudi Arabia is a theocracy, essentially a theocratic dictatorship. They are the #1 state sponsor of this Wahhabi Salafist ideology that they spend billions of dollars every year exporting around the world, which fuels terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They are waging this centuries-old Sunni versus Shia sectarian war, which we have sided with Saudi Arabia on, which is also counter to our interests. And part of that sectarian war is they are supporting, financing, arming terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda in places like Syria and Yemen, as well as waging a genocidal war in Yemen with United States support that has killed tens of thousands of Yemeni children and civilians and causing over 8 million Yemeni people to starve and suffer because of their blockade that's blocking food and medicine from getting to these individuals. So as we look at this situation with the murder of this journalist, this is yet one more reason why we should end our alliance with Saudi Arabia and stop supporting this genocidal war they're waging in Yemen.
All right, but if you end that alliance entirely, the president says there's really going to be leaving aside, how delicate that could be in a region where friends are few and far between. It could also have a huge financial hit for us. A $110 billion defense contract last year signed that benefits a lot of American jobs, $450 billion in total. If you talk about other transactions between our countries, you'd rip that up?
I'll make 2 points there. First of all, you talk about friends being few and far between. Out of all of the list of the reasons I just named as to why Saudi Arabia's actions and interests are counter to and undermine our interests, I think we can hardly call them a friend. We've got to get better friends if that's the case, friends whose interests actually align with ours. And secondly, this $110 billion arms deal that President Trump keeps talking about really speaks to the deeper problem here, that President Trump is unfortunately acting like a businessman without a conscience who's willing to make the deal no matter what the cost. And if we have leaders in our country who can only create American jobs and improve our economy by selling weapons to a country that is waging a genocidal war that's killing tens of thousands of innocent civilians and children, then we need new leaders. The American people deserve better than that. The American people deserve a leader that's going to be able to build an economy and create jobs without having that incredible, devastating human cost.
You said about a new leader. There have been rumors circulating that you're considering a presidential run in 2020.
Her and, Vice President Haley, or vice versa.
I'm focusing
that
on
would be a great cross-platform ticket.
And doing my best to continue to serve Hawaii and our country, and hopefully get a lot more like-minded leaders who are fighting for the interests of the people of our country first. Politically advantageous or what is not politically advantageous, I think that's largely what is wrong with our politics today, is we have people within both parties who are thinking more about the political win or how they get that political advantage rather than actually taking into account what are we doing to help alleviate the suffering of people in our country? How are we actually working to solve the problems that have existed, yes, within the last few years, but have existed for a very long time through both Democrat and Republican administrations? I think the more that we are focusing on how we actually can work together to solve these major problems that exist within every community in this country, the better off we'll be.
Do you worry, speaking about your party, Congresswoman, that the hard left charge it's taken and the fact that so many running for various offices from Congress to Senate, maybe to even those contemplating president, to lead an effort to impeach the president or go after the president or things like that?
But what I worry about is this whole tribalism and us versus them tone that our politics has kind of been overwhelmed by, has been taken over by. And there are people within both parties that can and should be blamed for this. Once again, if we're focusing on dividing people based on political benefit, based on how can I foment enough anger and bigotry and hatred in order to get a political advantage, then that undermines the values and principles that make our country strong. There's so much opportunity there, and the more that people are being divided by politicians for their own selfish or personal or powerful gain, then they're actually doing a disservice to the people who they are seeking to try to serve. And I think that's the point here, is we've got to focus on our mission first and foremost is serving the people of this country, not ourselves, not special interests, not a political party. We've got to focus.
And I'll do it on her behalf because she doesn't seem to be.
I don't
think he knows.
That's building up
She's a
along the
veteran.
southern border of Mexico with Guatemala.
So she knows.
4,000 strong. We're told numbers are hard to quantify, but they're not going anywhere. The president is next year better deal with this. Central America better deal with this.
She's like one of the
Or cut aid to those countries.
centrist Democrats left, one of the few, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those areas where we, both Democrats and Republicans, need to come together on and work together to address. It's a complicated issue that has to deal, obviously, with our border security, but also has to deal with our relationships with countries in Central and South America.
Do you agree with his approach? Do you
challenges.
agree with his approach that is deal with this, or aid could be on the block?
Oh, I think it's a little more nuanced than that, and I think there are deeper issues that really have to be worked to address to make it so that we are not dealing with people who, for many different reasons, are rushing towards both Mexico's borders, basically trying to make their way north. So I think we've got to actually address the heart of those issues.
Do you think all of these folks are asylum seekers? Because the president clearly does not.
I don't know. Clearly there's something that they're running away from, but I don't know the details enough of each of these situations in each of the countries that they are leaving and what's driving them to leave their homes. Obviously, it's something very extreme.
All right, I'm going to indulge this one more time, and you'll probably get angry at me, but we're coming remote, so I'm going to deal with it. The potential consideration of a presidential run, you're, I think, around 37 years old. Do you think that's too young?
Going on 17. I'm sorry, 27.
Okay, there we go. Have a nice